Asexualized, my asexual life. This is the place to be for education, sexuality, all things asexual, and I share my own asexual life journey in order to help you in yours. If you haven't already subscribed to this channel, please hit the great big subscribe button down below. Please hit that bell icon to get notified of every time I go live like now, or post a new video. And I've just got a notification that I'm now live, so I should hopefully get more people viewing me. It's so funny when I actually get a notification from YouTube that I'm live, and I'm actually talking live already. They're a little bit slow, YouTube, aren't they? But never mind. So yeah, thank you very much for joining me. So the ONS is now in, the ONS report. So ONS stands for Office of National Statistics. And basically that's a report that's done by the government. And this particular one was one from 2017 that's just come out about sexuality. And so basically it's talking about the ons.gov.uk, which is ons.gov.uk, which is the Office of National Statistics. And this was a very interesting thing to read. The organizer of the UK Asexuality Conference, he was the one who posted this in our conference group. Although the UK Asexuality Conference was July last year, we have it ongoing. We have an ongoing group on Skype where we talk about the various asexual activism things. And so he posted this ONS service in the ONS survey, in the group, and it was released on Monday this week. And so I thought it was interesting that they have to see that they are noticing that sexual attraction and sexual behaviour are different. I thought that was really important because they actually said that in the survey. And it also says that there's more gays and bis sexuals in London. And I agree with that, but in the asexual way, because the asexual guys I'm good friends with, I put, are the ones that I come across and talk to. More of those guys seem to be into guys, or both male and female, with a preference for guys. So I would say, although they're talking about gays and bisexuals here, I would tend to agree with that to do with asexuality as well. I definitely think there is more gays and bisexuals in London. It does seem that way from but not all of them, I would say, are in London. Some of them are like on the outskirts, but I mean more London way. And I noticed they use the word other, but it would be good if they used and recognised asexuality in the future, because they still don't recognise asexuality in the Office of National Statistics. They still don't recognise that. And one of the other participants in this activism group, asexual activism group, said he wonders how much of other category in table 1 refers to an orientation under the asexual umbrella. For example, I could see some people who are pansexual selecting the other category if they feel pan is different enough to bi, so it's almost certainly isn't only ace related. And I do think that's the thing when they put other, it can be very, like, how long's a piece of string? And so I really wish they'd get asexuality on there. I really do. And it's a shame they didn't, because that's what we were kind of hoping that it would come out. And the other person has commented that when they've read it, that the don't know / refuse is a really interesting area too, as it is so large. I wish we knew the fractional breakdown of don't know and refuse. The consistency of it over the years is strange too. With all the information out there on orientations now, I would expect the don't know category to decrease and perhaps a refuse choice to increase as something of a protest against the limited label choices in this survey. What does everyone else think here? From figure 2, if we assume the youngest group are the most accepting of their sexual orientation, and then we factor in the trend over the years from table 1, we could estimate that about 5% of the population is LGB, lesbian, gay, bisexual, with the roughly 2-to-1 ratio of GL to B from table 1. That works out as 3.3% homosexual and 1.7% bisexual. That bisexual figure probably isn't much more than the fraction who are ace. But yeah, I think they don't know refuse category is key too. We have reason to believe that more than 0.6% of the population is asexual, and that's ignoring all the other orientations contained in that other category. So yeah. But I said I thought asexuality was recorded 1% of the population. Yes, that's what I mean. The 1% estimate is the UK. It comes from an old paper by Bogart, which does have some disclaimers, e.g. the survey is based on the survey it was done was based on didn't actually use the word asexual. Still, most indications are that 1% is an underestimate. So 0.6% certainly seems low, and that's other, not exclusively asexual. But so basically, say the more than 0.6 is from the survey I linked from the ONS, which when I said we expected more than 0%, that's what he was looking for. So yeah. So someone asked, has there been any word on 10 adding asexual as an option? Yeah, basically it's not going to happen. Our efforts so mean they will probably add a fill-in box for other, where people can write in asexual or anything else. So I was talking about will that happen with job applications then? You know, will we get to write asexuality on the other thing? And he thinks that we should hopefully in 2021 UK consents. This is a 2021 UK census. There was like a survey that came round to try and get asexuality recognised as an orientation. You see, it was on Twitter and everything, and yeah. So I said, you know, is the government going to be changing this at all in 2021? But so he thinks that they might get it changed to other, but won't be asexual. And he said the census is every 10 years. 2021 could be the last. We'll see. So I hope they don't. I mean, it's such a shame, isn't it, that asexuality isn't on there. But this is all just chatter between us, you know. It hasn't really, it hasn't really been set in stone yet. We don't know. So, but the ONS.gov UK survey's out. So, if you type in ons.gov.uk, so basically it's a huge long address to search. So it's http you know, the hash www.ons.gov.uk/people, population and community /cultural identity /sexuality /bulletin /sexual identity UK /2017. So this is Sexual Orientation UK Office for National Statistics. And you know, that's what it's basically, you know. So if you're looking for it online, if you want to find it, I don't know if you can see that with the lighting in here. I don't think you can. Let's have a look. There, you should be able to. So it's the UK 2017 Office for National Statistics. This is a UK thing. Okay, so experimental statistics on sexual orientation in the UK in 2017 by region, sex, age, marital status, ethnicity and social economic classification. Like I said, unfortunately asexuality doesn't feature as an actual orientation in here. So it goes on for ages, you know. You can download it, but it basically is talking about main points. So it's got listed some main points. So basically, the main points: the proportion of the UK population aged 16 years and over identifying as heterosexual or straight has decreased from 94.4% in 2012 to 93.2% in 2017. Over the last 5 years, the proportion of the UK population identifying as lesbian, gay or bisexual (LGB) has increased from 1.5% in 2012 to 2% in 2017, 2.0%, so 2% basically, in 2017, although the latest figure is unchanged from 2016. In 2017, there was an estimated 1.1 million people aged 16 years and over as identifying as LGB out of a UK population aged 16 years and over of 52.8 million. Males, 2.3%, were more likely to identify as LGB than females, 1.8% in 2017. Now, I would tend to agree with that. From what I've seen, I do think there's a lot more gay guys on the increase. You know, even in asexuality, there seems to be a lot more homo-romantic guys than hetero ones that I come across, or pan-romantic guys, or bi-romantic guys, you know, guys that are into both. You know, it seems to be long gone are the days where most guys just seem to be into women. People aged 16 to 24 years were most likely to identify as LGB in 2014, 4.2%. Regionally, people in London were most likely to identify as LGB, 2.6%, with people in the northeast and east of England the least likely, both 1.5%. 69.4% of people who identified themselves as LGB had a marital status or single, never married, or in a civil partnership. Yeah. And then it's got comments, table, things you need to know about this release. Where does it say? Sexual orientation estimates are based on data from the annual population survey, APS, which collects information on self-perceived sexual identity from the household population aged 16 years and over in the UK. The measurement of sexual identity has been identified as a component of sexual orientation most closely related to experiences of disadvantage and discrimination. Sexual identity does not necessarily reflect sexual attraction sexual identity does not necessarily reflect sexual attraction and/or sexual behaviour, which are separate concepts not currently measured by the annual population survey. So that's really interesting, is it? They've stated that. I think it's really good because it's very difficult when you're asexual, especially when you first come to asexuality, if you're not interested in sex, which the majority of asexuals aren't. But sexual behaviour and sexual attraction are two different things. And it even says sexual identity does not necessarily reflect sexual attraction and/or sexual behaviour. And I think it's quite hard, because most people think asexual just means you don't have anything to do with sex or sexual acts or anything sexual. And this can get really confusing, because a lot of asexuals, you know, they still might like touching, for example. You know, if they're in a relationship, they might not mind touching the breasts and the penis and all that type of thing, you know. Just because I don't necessarily like that type of thing doesn't mean to say some asexuals don't. So some asexuals can still exhibit what people would see as sexual behaviour, yet they like the sexual attraction, as in they don't see a person and go, I want to have sex with you. Do you see what I mean? The behaviour is not the same as sexual behaviour is not the same as sexual attraction. Usually when someone's heterosexual, for example, they do go hand in hand though. Usually they follow each other. With an asexual, it's kind of different. We can look around us and never think, I want sex with anyone. However, if we are in a relationship, we might want to do some touching. We might want to touch the body. We might want to, you know, some of us might want to masturbate each other and stuff like that. And it's very taboo still, not as much as it used to be, but it's still very taboo in terms of asexuality, and it does make it very difficult for sexuals to understand us. I think it is really hard, and it's kind of like sometimes you think, okay, so, you know, it's very hard as an outsider to understand, well, if someone's doing sexual stuff, then they're sexual because of the act is sexual, therefore you can't say that they're not sexual. But asexual is about absence of sexual attraction, not the absence of necessarily wanting to do sexual acts, if you know what I mean. It's a very difficult concept. It is very complex, you know. Asexuality can be as complex or as simple as you make it, but it can be quite hard, you know, because if someone's doing sexual stuff, then it's kind of like they're sexual in the sense of their behaviour, but if they're asexual, they're not sexual as in their orientation. So it can get very, very confusing. And, I really just, know that it's best to spread awareness of asexuality. It's very good, if people do have a very strong definition of it, because it becomes very difficult for sexuals. I mean, they don't know all the ins and outs of asexuality. If I say to someone I don't like sex, I'm asexual, and that makes more sense to them. If I started saying, no way, I wonder if the increase in LGBT, etc. identification may be related to population density because human behaviour is weirdly similar to the mouse utopia. Oh, what's the mouse utopia? I don't know about that. Mouse utopia, are you talking about actual mice, or are you talking about something else? I didn't quite catch the last bit of your sentence because unfortunately YouTube doesn't keep it up there very often. But yeah, I just thought it's really interesting. It says the other category, so it does talk about the other category. It says the other category captures people who do not consider themselves to fit into the heterosexual or straight, bisexual, gay or lesbian categories. It might also include people who responded other for different reasons, such as those who did not understand the terminology or who are against categorization. There is currently no further breakdown of other collected in the annual population survey, so no assumptions can be made about the sexual orientation or gender identity of those responding other. The bulletin presents the sexual orientation estimates as percentages, estimates of the population numbers and measures of quality to show the levels of uncertainty associated with survey estimates are presented in the data sets. Users are advised to consult the quality measures when interpreting the estimates, as some estimates are based on a relatively small sample. So, yeah, the Office for National Statistics has recommended a new voluntary question on sexual orientation for those aged 16 years and over in the England and Wales 2021 census. The data gathered will make it easier to monitor inequalities under the anti-discrimination duties of the Equality Act 2010. Having an estimate of the size of the lesbian, gay or bisexual community will allow charities, local and central government to target services more effectively. For more information, see the government white paper. I just think it's really shame, really, isn't it, that they still not got asexuality on there. And that's what I said. It looks like they're not going to include asexuality, in the future as well. Okay, so they concluded most of the UK population identifies as heterosexual or straight, so there's still no change there. In 2017, an estimated 93.2% of the UK population, 49.2 million people, identified as heterosexual or straight, continuing the decline from 2012. 94.4%. So although there's no change, as in, there's still most of the UK population is heterosexual straight, there's still a decline in that. There's still more people coming out of different orientations, which is a good thing for asexuals, I think, because it means that if society starts accepting that more of the population is different to them, then, eventually asexuality should get accepted more. So it says an estimated 2% of the population, 1.1 million people, identified themselves as lesbian, gay or bisexual, as shown in Table 1. This comprised of 1.3% identifying as gay or lesbian and 0.7% identifying as bisexual. The percentage in 2017 remains at similar levels to 2016. A further 0.6% identified as other, meaning that they did not consider themselves to fit into the heterosexual or straight, bisexual, gay or lesbian categories. This proportion has increased since 2012, 0.3%. A further 4.1% refused or did not know how to identify themselves. So obviously, when I was saying at the beginning of this video that I'm in an asexual activism group, which is the group that remains since I was a speaker at the UK Asexuality Conference last year, so all the people that were involved in the conference, that may be involved in future conferences, and that were speakers or organisers or involved in the background stuff, we're still part of a group and we still have regular chats in there, on and off, about asexuality, activism, what's happening in the world. And so, yeah, one of the people that was talking in that saying, I wonder how many of the 0.6% of the other or refused is asexual, because, it could be pansexual, could be in there. And they were also talking about polysexual and things like that. So, yeah, it's really hard, when they haven't got any statistics for those others. You don't know what the other is. It could be any sort of thing, but asexuals will probably be part of that, but we don't know how many, not in this survey. It says a higher proportion of men than women identified as gay or lesbian. So around 1.7% of males identified themselves as gay or lesbian. I mean, why would 1.7% of males identify themselves as gay or lesbian? Because guys are usually gay. Females are usually lesbians. So I didn't really understand that bit. Around 1.7% of males identify themselves as gay or lesbian in 2017, compared with 0.9% of females. Converse, I think they've written that wrong. Conversely, I think it's meant to mean, yeah, I think it's meant to mean they're gay and the women are lesbians, but it's just the way they've worded it. It sounds weird. Conversely, 0.9% of females identify themselves as bisexual, compared with 0.6% of males. No change for either sex on percentages identifying as bisexual in 2016. So it's then got, I don't know if I can turn around and swivel my phone around. So it's got some things here. LGBT, gay, lesbian, that's what it's referring to. It's just the way they've worded it. It's really weird. So you got LGBT total, and then you got gay and lesbian, and then bisexual there. So yeah, it's interesting, I haven't read all of it out, but I just think, it's some of the interesting points. Younger people are more likely to identify as lesbian, gay or bisexual than any other age group. In 2017 in the UK, 16 to 24-year-olds was the age group most likely to identify as lesbian, gay or bisexual, LGB, 4.2%. This figure comprises 1.9% identifying as gay or lesbian and 2.3% identifying as bisexual. The youngest age group was the only age group to have a larger proportion identifying as bisexual than gay or lesbian. The 16 to 24-year-olds were the only age group for which more women, 4.7%, identified as LGB than men, 3.7%. This was driven by a larger proportion of women identifying as bisexual in this age group than in older age groups. The 16 to 24 age groups had the highest percentage of people identifying themselves in other, 0.9%, and don't know or refuse, 5.3% categories. Isn't that interesting? Because I know in a lot of the asexual groups, they're always saying, it's all, a lot of the older people that come in sort of 50, 60, there always, there's so many young people, like on these asexual dating sites, there's so many young people in their 20s. I don't want someone when I'm 50 or 60 in their 20s, and they kind of have a little moan sometimes. So I think that's kind of highly likely that those 16 to 24 age group that identify themselves as other or refused categories, I'm guessing that quite a high percentage of them are probably asexual, to be honest. Because that would be in keeping with the amount of young asexuals that there are. But I know quite a number of asexuals that are in their 30s, to be honest. Do you know what I mean? To be honest, I know quite a number in their 20s and quite a number in their 30s. Do you know what I'm saying? So, and I know some older ones. But yeah. So, but I do know there is a lot in that 20s category. As in previous years, older age groups were more likely to identify as heterosexual or straight. Only 0.7% of the population aged 65 years and over identified as LGB in 2017. One reason for this pattern may be that younger people could be more likely to explore their sexuality combined with more socially acceptability of sexual identities today and the ability to express these. I do think that when you're younger, I think kind of like in general don't worry so much. I think when you're older, especially if people are not used to knowing you're LGB and then all of a sudden you come out with it, I think it can be quite difficult for an older person to do that. Whereas if you're younger and you start young identifying, then, and kind of like if you're friends with people who are gay and lesbian or bi, do you know what I mean? You can kind of like think, oh, well, you know, I'll just come out because my friends are like that. And so I think that if for older people who are different generations where it's more taboo to be like that, I think they're probably quieter about it in general. But, you know, I've known people who are older that are lesbian, you know. So I just think, you know, people, I think I've gone through most of that. So yeah, I don't think population identifies lesbian, gay or bisexual most likely to have a marital status of single, never married or civil partnered. In 2017, around 69% of those identifying as lesbian, gay or bisexual stated they had never married or entered into a civil partnership. Are most likely to have a marital status of single, never married or civil partnered. So that's interesting. This is a higher percentage than those identifying as heterosexual or straight. Reasons for that, which is 34%. Reasons for this might include those identifying as LGB have a younger age structure than those who identify as heterosexual or straight. Legal unions for same-sex couples having only become available relatively recently. Those who had a legal marital status of single may be the same-sex cohabiting couples in the UK. 0.5% of families were same-sex cohabiting couple families in 2017. So yeah, I think that's really interesting. You know, so the Marriage Same-Sex Couples Act 2013 made provision for the marriage of same-sex couples in England and Wales from the 29th of March 2014 onwards. So civil partnerships were introduced in England and Wales in December 2005, includes separated. Confidence intervals are presented on the graph to give an estimated range of values within which the actual values like to fall 95% of the time. I'm not going to read all this out because it'll just be a bit boring for you. But I just thought it's really interesting that it's out. So if you want to go to the ons.gov.uk and search for that, then yeah. Probably after this video is finished and processed, then I'll put a link down to it so you can read it. I'll put a link in the description so then you can look for yourself. But I just thought it's really interesting because I kind of like to relate some of those statistics, as you've seen, to asexuality. The fact that, you know, there does seem to be a lot of people in their 20s that are asexual. I've had a lot of people, like I said, the older people, they're like, where are all the older asexuals? Because they're in my asexual dating groups and they want older people, you know, people around that age that will be looking for a relationship. And I think it's also interesting that, you know, there's less people married as well. But, you know, I don't want to get married. I used to be a person who wanted to get married and live with someone, but I love living on my own. You know, I can imagine in a romantic way living with someone from the romantic point of view because I'm a hyper romantic, but in terms of practicality and actual feeling comfortable, I prefer living on my own. You know, I love my place where I live now. You know, I don't really ever want to move from here. You know, I thought about, you know, like a house share or something, but I'd like to say, you know, if I did that, I'd have to section off a whole house. So I had like the top flat and they had the bottom one or something, because I just like, you know, I just like being up, further up and away from the road and away from downstairs. And I just like being higher up. I feel more safer higher up, I think. Apart from if there's a fire, obviously, I always worry about that. But I can escape on someone's roof if it's out the kitchen window. I can escape on there's someone's roof. There are ways of getting out here, but the windows, you know, a bit high up. So yeah, that's the only problem when you're higher up. But you know, if I had a house, I'd have to and share the house, I'd have to separate it into separate places, because I just want all my own self-contained, you know, kitchen and bathroom and toilet and my own facilities, in which case I may as well stay in a separate flat, really. Do you know what I mean? Unless I ever get a housemate, as in my own house, and have a paying housemate, but that wouldn't be a relationship then. But in terms of relationship, you know, yeah, I like living separately. I like living apart together, but near each other, so we're there for each other whenever we can be, but have our own separate lives. So I just so used to living on my own, and especially with my fibro and anxiety that I sometimes get. I don't really have so much anxiety when I'm on my own. Sometimes I just do my own thing, and I just like don't need to worry. But I think when you live with someone, well, I've lived with people before. It's horrible for me because it's like you kind of have to do things their way and compromise, and it's like, nah, I really like doing things my way, because I'm quite short. My ex, for example, he was 6'3", and I'm only 5'4.5", and so like he used to have his place because I didn't live with him. I lived with him for a bit of 6 months, and that's all. And then we separated, and then got back together. And I shouldn't have got back together with him, but yeah. So when I say separated, we split up. So yeah, his place was designed for a tall person, and mine's designed for a shorter person. Do you know what I mean? So, I've got everything where I can reach it, or I know how to get a ladder to get up it, basically. But I love the place here. It's my most happiest place I've ever lived in my life. Although I've got some sad things, like my guinea pigs are not here anymore. Oh, I saw such a gorgeous guinea pig in the pet shop today. I really wanted it, but at the moment I feel I can't afford one. But he was beautiful. He had to be on his own, because if I get a guinea pig in the future, because obviously Angel's still at my parents', then I thought I was going to be seeing her today as well, but my parents came over and they're like, oh no, we didn't plan for that. So it seems it'll be another time I'll be seeing her, but I do miss her because she's still mine, but she lives with my parents now because she's diabetic. But if I had a guinea pig over here, I've decided I just would have one that needed to be on its own. Because some boys, they need guinea pigs. They can't be with other ones because they fight and stuff. And I walked in the pet shop today to order hay for Angel. And what should be there but this male, beautiful guinea pig that was on its own. It said it needs to go on its own because it fights with the other guinea pigs. So it has to go to a loving home where someone can just look after one guinea pig on its own. And my heart was like melting. Its eyes were gorgeous. It reminded me of Chestnut's eyes, my girl that I lost last year. And so yeah, but it was tricolored, 3 different colours. Named Hugo, absolutely beautiful, about 6.5 months old. So yeah, it has to be sold separately. And I'm like, oh, I really wanted him. He's looking at me in the eye saying, come and buy me, take me home, Sandra. And I was like, I just so wanted him. I really miss having guinea pigs. I know this has got nothing to do with the Office of National Statistics, but it has, in a sense that if you are single or if you're living on your own, sometimes it's still nice to have company, even though it's not human company. Do you know what I mean? Because it's nice to have some atmosphere in the place. Should he be called Bermuda? Why? Why would he be called Bermuda? Bermuda Triangle means they get lost and never found. His name's Hugo. He's already named, but yeah, I really liked him. Nice to see you, Heather. I didn't know you were watching. Yeah, really nice to see you. So I really wanted him. He was looking at me. He had eyes like chestnuts as well, which I don't see many eyes like that. Because I've been really, really good this year. I've been able to talk about it, what happened more when I needed to. Not I don't dwell on it. But like tonight when I was talking to my mum, I burst into tears because I'm like, oh, it's got eyes like chestnut. And I didn't think about it having eyes like that until I said it to my mum, and so I got really upset. So yeah, so that was hard. But it's like I really want a piggy because I miss them so much, in my room with me. I just, really want a piggy. It's really hard, but it's like, I've got to think of financial situation. I'm not in a position to be able to do that and not worry, if you know what I mean. So, oh, but he was looking at me. He was eating some hay and he was like saying, come and get me. I'm here. I'm looking at you. Come and choose me, please. I'm here. I was like, hopefully he'll go to a good home. But it's just like, it just was weird that I'm looking for, in the future, a single guinea pig. And he just was adorable. I just thought he was adorable. And when I told my mum and realised he had eyes like chestnut, which I've never seen such beautiful eyes as chestnut in my life from no human, no animal or anything, I'm just like, bother. I didn't realise that. I didn't consciously think of them being like chestnuts. I just thought it was looking at me, Do you know what I mean? I didn't actually think, but then when I looked at it, I thought it just reminded me of her. So yeah, anyway, I can't really afford it. So, but you know what my heart's like. It's like, oh, Sandra, come on, get him. Come on, get him. I'm like, no, stop it. I got to concentrate on finances and career this year. Really important. And getting a new printer when I've saved up. So, saved up. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this Office of National Statistics. Yeah. Office of National Statistics. Is that what I just said it was? Or did I say it's something else? National Survey, didn't I? Office of National Statistics. Let's have a look. What was I just talking about? My mind has gone completely blank now because I was talking about guinea pigs. You know what I'm like when I get talking about guinea pigs. Yes, here we go. That's what I was talking about. ONS. Office for National Statistics. Yeah, I did get it right. But it's because I'm distracted by a beautiful guinea pig. Do you know what I mean? My mind's just like, woo! I can't even remember what I'm talking about. Yeah, he was so cute. Anyway, so yeah, I hope you found that interesting. I will put the link when it's processed. I'll put the link down below this video so you can go and check it out for yourself. But I just think it's a shame they hadn't got asexuality actually down there. But never mind. But I still thought it was an interesting survey to compare that to asexual knowledge, you know, that I have about a lot of asexuals seem to be in their 20s. So that would be in keeping with more people coming out as being different to heterosexual. You know, so more people in the Office for National Statistics came out as being LGB. I think that's really important because, you know, it's kind of like similar to asexuality in the sense of a lot more of people in their 20s, I think, know about asexuality and come out about it. And I also think that it seems to be that homo asexuals are on the increase, you know. It really does seem that more guys are into guys, you know. Me and my friend who go to the asexual meetup, there's me and him are hetero romantic, and then there'll be like 3 guys, 2 of which, well, yeah, basically the other 3 guys are into males or females. I mean, with 2 preferences for guys. So when we last meet up, when there's 5 of us, yeah, me's heteromantic, a guy's heteromantic, the other 3 guys, they're interested in either gender. With 2 of them having a preference for guys. So yeah, and another guy I know is asexual. He's asexual, so he's biromantic, so but with a preference for guys. So most of the guys I talk to in the UK have a preference for guys. I would say one of those people that came to the asexual meetup, though, although he's for guys or girls, I would say he has a preference for females because he seems to have more experience of attraction towards females. But yeah, it's very interesting, and practically a lot of the guys that I tend to look at asexual dating sites in the UK and fancy them, a lot of them tend to be yeah, interesting guys. Anyway, I'd love to know your thoughts when I've posted the link as well. So put your thoughts about what you think of the ONS service when survey Office for National Statistics survey. Oh, dearie me, I can't speak now. Anyway, too much thoughts of guinea pigs going around in my head. Anyway, I'm going to say goodnight to you for tonight. Thank you very much for listening again. If you like this video, if you found it interesting, useful, or helpful at all, please give it a thumbs up. Thank you, Heather. Thanks so much. Yeah, I know it's been a different kind of video tonight because it's been more statistical, but some people do like to know statistics, you know. I know Michael likes to know statistics, but he's not been on this live stream tonight that I know of. So I think you'll be interested to see and read some of that because I know some people, they really like statistics and to get their sort of head into figures, it's really important for them. So I think that'll be quite interesting. It's a shame that asexuality isn't recognised as a sexual orientation in that, with specific figures relating to asexuality. You know, we come under the broader spectrum of other in that survey. You know, goodness knows how many are asexual or pansexual in there, you know. It's really weird as well because in things like meetup.com, they seem to always lump pansexuals with asexuals. It's like, hang on, pansexuals are sexually attracted to multiple genders. They're not asexuals, they're pansexuals. So yeah, it's a bit weird because again, it's It's not asexual. Anyway, I'm going to love you even for now. Thank you very much for tuning in. Thanks for giving this video a thumbs up. If anyone else is watching, please do share this video if you think anyone may benefit from it. Don't forget to subscribe down below if you haven't already. Hit that great big bell icon to get notified every time I go live like now. I'll post a new video, and I will see you on the next live stream or video. Take care. Bye. Bye, Heather. Thanks for watching. Bye, everyone else who's watching.